This is the bizarre true story of a millionaire who had no heirs, so instead of leaving his fortune behind, he created a strange competition where women would compete to have as many babies as possible, and the winner would inherit it all. Charles Vance Millar was a wealthy Toronto lawyer that did extremely well for himself, but beneath his polished exterior, he was a clever trickster, always scheming and finding new ways to amuse himself. His favorite pranks exposed human greed. He loved to leave money on the sidewalk, then watch from a distance as passerbys sheepishly pocketed it. These pranks would be nothing compared to the one he orchestrated from beyond the grave. It was Halloween night in 1926. 73-year-old Charles Millar was in his law office discussing a case when he suddenly collapsed. Before doctors could arrive, Charles would pass away from a stroke. After the funeral, as one of Millar's law partners was clearing out his office, he stumbled across a peculiar document, Millar's last will and testament. He initially dismissed it as another prank, but after closer inspection, he realized the document was in fact legitimate and utterly outrageous. The will contained 12 clauses. Some were what you would expect to see, like small sums for his housekeeper, friends, and legal colleagues. But others were quite bizarre. One clause ironically left his shares in the O'Keefe Brewery to supporters of the Prohibition, provided they actively managed the brewery and collected its dividends. He also left his vacation home in Jamaica to 3 men who absolutely despised one another, on the condition that they live there together indefinitely. But it was Clause 10 that truly shocked the world. In simple terms, it stated that the Toronto mother who gave birth to the most children within 10 years of Millar's death would inherit his remaining fortune. If there was a tie, the prize would be divided equally. Little did he know that in just 3 years' time, the world would be in the grips of the Great Depression, and Clause 10 would become an international sensation and race for survival. When news of the contest broke, reactions were mixed. Critics called it a scandalous mockery of family life, while the media reveled in the spectacle. The Ontario government denounced it as a fiasco, and religious groups deemed it immoral. Millar's extended family were furious with the contents of the will and took legal action. Being the highly intelligent lawyer that Millar was, he drafted his will so ironclad and watertight that ultimately the Supreme Court of Canada had no choice but to rule that the will was valid. So, as of November 1st, 1926, the Great Stork Derby was on. Across Toronto, families began competing for the prize. Husbands and wives, enticed by the promise of wealth, eagerly welcomed new additions to their households. Things were going well, but in 1929, disaster struck. The stock market crashed, drought hit the prairies, and the country slid into the depths of the Great Depression. Families struggled to make ends meet, but the prospect of financial security was too tempting to resist. Women who might have stopped at 2 or 3 children found themselves aiming for 9 or 10. Among the contenders was the Carter family. Mr. Carter was adamant that if they won the contest, they would share the winnings with the other large families. In contrast, Lillian Kenny, one of the poorest and most outspoken of the participants, claimed if she won, there was no way she would share the prize. She would regularly charge people to photograph her and her growing family. She even attacked a photographer who tried to take a free picture. As the competition heated up, so did the disputes. Some women were accused of cheating, while others faced the heartbreaking loss of precious children. The Derby quickly became a media sensation, with newspapers tracking baby counts like sports scores and turning their private lives into public spectacles. By 1936, the end of the contest was near. Families anxiously waited the outcome. Reports of staggering birth counts circulated. Kathleen Nagel was said to have 14 children, Lucy Timlick, 17, and Grace Bagnato, an astonishing 24. However, the contest rules meant not all of these children would qualify. On November 1st, 1936, the decade-long race officially ended. 10 families came forward to claim the prize, but who would take it home? On November 6, 1936, the legal battles began. Courtrooms were packed with reporters, photographers, and families hoping for the prize. Judge William Middleton meticulously reviewed each claim, verifying births against the will's criteria. Children had to be born within wedlock, registered under the Vital Statistics Act, and born in Toronto. Stillbirths did not count. These strict rules eliminated most contenders. Pauline Clark, who had 10 children, was disqualified because her children were from 2 different fathers. Lillian Kenny, with 11 children, was also disqualified. 3 of her children were stillborn. After 2 years of scrutiny, 4 women were declared winners, each with 9 eligible children. Annie Smith, Kathleen Nagel, Lucy Timlick, and Isabel McLean. Each received $125,000. That's roughly $2.5 million today. Pauline Clark and Lillian Kenny later won out-of-court settlements of $12,500 each. That's about $250,000 today. The Carter family sadly did not receive a share of the prize. Despite having 12 children, only 8 were eligible. Most of the families used their winnings wisely, purchasing homes and cars and investing in businesses to secure their financial futures. However, Lillian Kenny's story took a different turn. She indulged in luxuries, and by 1941, her family had spent everything, returning to a modest lifestyle. The Great Stork Derby remains one of the most bizarre contests in Canadian history. Beyond its spectacle, it set notable legal precedents. The Supreme Court of Canada upheld the validity of Millar's unconventional will, reinforcing the principle that individuals have significant freedom in distributing their estates, even by unusual means.